Listen, family, how many of you all are familiar with this one, Jane Elliott? She is known as a teacher. She has made the rounds for decades. This white lady, Jane Elliott, she has been known many years ago on Oprah Winfrey's show, her dealing with her racial theory and project that she does, calling out racism amongst white people, even though she's white. She's been on late night talk shows. I mean, she has been in attendance to HBCUs. Yes, our own people have invited her to their colleges and universities and sororities and fraternities and places of worship, and help to pay this lady's bills and stuff. And I'm going to tell you why I am just on one today. I want you to watch this clip of this so-called anti-racist activist, Jane Elliott. I want you to watch this first clip.
To do it that way, then first you have to pay off the Native Americans, whose land we took and whose homes we took and whose people we killed in the millions.
No, they got paid. They got paid. And they have land.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
They have land. They have reservations, and they also have economic.
Oh, yeah. And would you like to talk to me about reservations and what a wonderful payment that is? Would you like to be on a reservation? Would you be willing to? Would all the black people in this country be willing to take a reservation?
That's what the Nation of Islam was asking for.
Well, was that a smart thing to do? I don't think it was. Do you think it was a really comfortable place to be?
The way that they were living, no, I wouldn't live like that.
Oh well, but okay,
but the whole planet is a prison for black people. So like it can't get any worse for black people. So you can't. I'm not gonna look at somebody else and say, oh shoot, like I don't want my own land. I don't want a shot at that. I would never say that. A black person is not gonna say I don't want to have a chance to create my own civilization and my own society. Everybody wants that chance, and everybody deserves that chance. And black people deserve reparations in the form of land, in the form of cash payments, and in the form of some type of tax consideration. So yeah.
Now, shout out to these brothers that had her on the podcast. This was about 3 years ago. And if you follow my work and you've seen me on multiple platforms, you know I discussed this years ago. And I discussed this even recently because I think it's worth discussing. I was scrolling through one of the social media platforms, and I believe it was a HBCU related or affiliated platform. Thousands and thousands and thousands of subscribers, so many views, where they were singing the praises of Jane Elliott as if she was, Mary Magdalene or something, Mary and stuff. And they were just going on and on and on about this Jane Elliott. And I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. And I'm like, wait a minute, what in the world is really going on? Do you all understand that this woman is a fake? She is a fraud. Why am I saying that? She just told you why she is not an anti-racist teacher or activist, an expert and a skilled person that black universities and black religious institutions and black social groups pay honorariums and fly in to talk. This is the trick bag black family that we have to get out of. What is that? Just because a member of the oppressive class is willing to talk about racism doesn't mean that they're actually an ally. The test is always, what do you do to hold your people accountable? And the moment you bring up reparations and they say no, you know they're a fraud. Hello, Bernie Sanders. How many of you all were singing the praises of Bernie Sanders? Even Sean King one time called him the Messiah. Literally called him the Messiah. When Bernie Sanders was on The View and Sonny Hostin asked him about cash reparations, Bernie Sanders, who believes in spending, no exaggeration, trillions, that's what the T, of dollars, to make sure that all Americans can get free health care, free college, and all of that. He believes in giving absolute freebies to everybody, and that's cool. But when you say, what about the people that shed blood? What about the people that were stolen, whose land was stolen, whose bodies were stolen? Those that built America, what about giving them reparations? He says emphatically, unequivocally, no. When you look at folks like Tim Wise, they claim that Tim Wise is such this pro white man who's an anti-racist activist. When you talk to him about what should be done about it and reparations, he's against it. Do you see how she acted? Well, let me school the so-called school teacher. Now class in session. Professor Vicki Dillard is an instructor. Miss Jane Elliott, did you know that there were certain so-called Indian tribes? By the way, the original natives were black-skinned natives. Y'all do understand that. You do understand that some of our people were actually already owners in here in what you call the United States of America, and some of our people were snatched and enslaved from the continent of Africa. You do know that, right? Just want to clear that up. But in addition to all of that, Miss Jane Elliott, does she not know and understand that some of the natives were actually slave holders? Miss Jane Elliott, did you know that the U.S. government years ago entered into certain contracts with several of the tribes, paid them money to release some of their slaves and to pay some of the slaves? And some of the Indian tribes, not only did they not release the slaves in the time that they promised the government that they would, but they kept the money that they were supposed to pay us. Did you know that some of the Indians are the ones that helped to chase runaway slaves and drag them back to the plantation? Did you know in recent history that some of the Indian tribes objected to black folks receiving some of the payouts, where there was a provision in some of the treaties where black folks that look like me are supposed to be entitled to some of the tangible benefits that's in some of those treaties? This is the reason why the great Dr. Claude Anderson literally spent hundreds of thousands of dollars of his own very black dollars in court to fight for some of those legal treaty tangible benefits. Did you all know that? And the nerve to say that we don't get it unless they get it first. So not only were we some of the originals, but not only as the melanin lightened up over time, there was some of the ones that you recognize as Indians are the ones that enslaved us, kept us enslaved, entered into different contracts with the government, refused to release us on time in terms of out of slavery, and didn't pay us some of the monies and funds that they received. And modern history, some of the tribes reject black folks receiving some of the tangible benefits where there's provisions in some of those treaties that means that belong to us. They got land, free health care, and a whole bunch of other freebies. So because they're in her estimation, and based on anybody that has intelligence, because they're not good stewards of the land and the freebies and the tangibles, I should say, that they receive. She shrugs her shoulders and she thinks that that should be out of the question for us. Shout out to that brother on the podcast, Socks and Sandals, that put her in place. This is always the test. Who cares if your oppressor is willing? There's a group of the oppressors that lie about our oppression. And then there's another group that's willing to admit it. And that group is willing to admit it because they know that they don't have to do anything about it. They know that there's no repercussions. There's no accountability. There's nothing required of them. And the moment you say reparations, and the moment you say to right your wrongs, the real them comes out. And did you see it with her little attitude and huffing and puffing? She turned into a total Karen, a total Gretchen, a Matilda.
The worst part about Bernie Sanders being against reparations for Black Americans is the hypocrisy. Because in 2011, he literally sponsored a bill to get reparations for victims of the Holocaust. Now this is part 2 of my video trying to preempt Zohar Mamdani from following the racial politics of his mentors AOC and Bernie Sanders, specifically as they relate to the Black American ethnic identity and reparations. And as a quick refresher, here's Sanders discussing his opinion on reparations.
What I just indicated, in my view, is that when you have, and you and I may have a disagreement on this, because it's not just black, it is Latino. There are areas in America, in poor rural areas, where it's whites, okay? So I believe that in a country which has more income and wealth inequality than any other country, that, yeah, the time is long overdue to start investing in poor countries.
Why not support reparations then?
What do you mean by reparations?
By reparations for slave defenders.
I know, but what does that mean exactly?
Money.
Well, I think that right now our job is to address the crises facing the American people and our communities. And I think there are better ways to do that than just writing out a check.
And with those answers, it's extremely ironic that Senator Sanders co-sponsored the Holocaust Rail Justice Act. The bill was intended to help survivors and their families sue France's National Railway for reparations related to transporting victims to concentration camps. That helped secure a $60 million deal for American Holocaust survivors and victims' families in 2014. And to be clear, that's a great thing, and for as bad as the Holocaust was, they probably should be getting even more money. Yet, that's what makes it all the more confusing that when asked about reparations for Black American slavery, he's always calling it divisive or not the right way to help the Black community. But how come for one group, reparations is treated as a common sense form of compensation with no speculation on how the money will be used after it's been distributed? And for Black Americans, the resistance to reparations is so often framed as not the right way to help. Now, this part's a bit of speculation, but I would argue that this conversation is so often grounded in this implicit bias that Black Americans are too irresponsible or too ghetto to use the money in an uplifting way. In other words, we're just going to squander any reparations money on gold chains and Cadillacs, whereas the stereotype would be that other communities are more financially responsible and thus deserving of compensation for what they went through, because for them, it would be the right way to help. Now, while that presumption is both racist and untrue, I do want to make it clear that no matter how the money is spent, reparations would still be owed. And this is because even though Sanders and many Democrat leaders try to conflate the two, reparations are not welfare. I repeat, reparations are not welfare. Welfare policies like SNAP are generally colorblind and are made by calculating how social spending can uplift the quality of life for low-income people. They are largely restricted to essential needs like food, childcare, and basic supplies. Reparations, on the other hand, are restitution for wrongful acts committed by an institution against a person or class of people. Whether or not the recipient is financially responsible or if the money will benefit them is completely irrelevant to the premise of why reparations are owed. They are owed simply because the wrongful action was committed and there's widespread documentation of it. And all of that is significant because to this day, Bernie Sanders is known not to have a strong sense of cultural support from Black Americans. That said, it's imperative that a new generation of left-wing political leaders like Mamdani do not adopt this anti-Black American framework. And I'm going to keep it real that whole college application fiasco and him saying they didn't understand that African American means Black on the form raises valid questions about his understanding then of Black American identity and history in this country. And between that and the track record of his predecessors, that's why I made the video last week. But what do you think? Did you know about Bernie Sanders' fickle opinions on reparations? How do you think Mamdani might address this if it comes up in the future? And what should we expect from our politicians on this topic? Let me know in the comments, and of course, follow for more.
So guys, we have said it time and again on this channel that anyone that does not approve for reparations for Black people is not an ally, and it is as simple as that. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because we have these kind of people that are, they're white, but they have seen the struggle of Black people and decided to make it a business, yeah? So they are really enjoying the benefits of what they do, simply talking about racism and trying to sound as if they really care about Black people, and you see that is not normal, not ordinary. So people tend to believe that and to see them as different people. And if you're talking about white people being racist, then you are thinking somehow that these people are not racist. Now, turns out that when these people are asked this question of reparations, they are really against it. And that should be the only question that guides you to know if this is an ally or not. Anyone that is against reparations without a good reason, they are not an ally. Yeah? Because anyone that wishes you well, the same way that they keep talking about here, wherever they go, they're always praising black people, always talking nice about them. If they really cared about black people, they would be supportive of the idea of reparations. Now, Jane Elliott is one such victim, and for a very long time, black people have liked her. They have loved her for what she stands for in life. She advises white people. She talks to black people, and they feel seen, they feel represented, they feel as though someone finally understands, yeah? Some white person actually understands. Now, that was supposed to be all rosy and that, but when asked about reparations, she has a different stand on that, and she is not apologetic about it. She feels that black people do not deserve reparations. And, that is heartbreaking to know, but that is what she stands for. And Bernie Sanders is the other culprit. He behaves in such a manner that you would really think that anything that happens to black people really concerns him, and that he really cares from the bottom of his heart about black people. Turns out these people, when asked the same question, they do not have the answer that you and I expect. They do not support that, and they think that it isn't supposed to happen. And that hurts black people because they have given all their loyalty to these people. They have listened to their podcasts. They have invited them over to speak to black students. They have been doing all these things, and they have been making money in the process. Now, this is making many people to start questioning and, rethinking the options that they have, and also, trying to think of why these people do what they do. Someone said they are actually minting money from using that kind of black American content, which they know is marketable, and many black people want to see and hear what they have to say, and their race gives them that kind of attention that they require, because it is not a very, very normal thing to see white people stand up for black people like that. Now, all this time, psychologically, people are analyzing and thinking they're doing this for business. It's really about business, because they're paid to do these things. They're paid to go host shows. They are paid to make these kind of videos, to be hosted somewhere. They have to be paid, to give a talk in places. They are paid for that. Now, the fact that they do not support reparations means there's a lot of things that they are comfortable with that are happening to black people, and they will only pretend about that. Now, I don't know what you people think about that. I don't know what you think about this, because for me it was very heartbreaking to finally find the video that explains and shows her, Jane Elliott, talking about reparations and actually saying they do not deserve it. Black people shouldn't be getting reparations. And Bernie Sanders, same story. Now, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section. I know this is your darling. This is someone that you have come a long way with, and you have believed in her teachings, her leadership. She has been doing this for ages. Look at her. Look at her age. She has done this for quite a bit. Now, to think that the same person that you have believed all these years is actually against you in a way, for them it might not be as big a deal, but for black people and for people like myself that really believe in reparations, it's really big deal and crazy to even imagine, because you never get to see her the same way after this. Yeah, I have been watching her videos lately, and I do not feel the same about her, because every time I keep asking myself, but why don't you support reparations? You speak so well about black people. You speak as though you really, really like black people. But how come? Just how come? Yeah. And I think that should be black people's way of vetting people. If you want to know who really is an ally, then maybe just ask the question first before they say anything else. because they are well prepared to answer the rest of the questions. They will make you believe that they really like black people and they care about them and the future of black people. But when you ask them that question first and they say they are not for it, then you definitely know who they are. Yeah. And someone said all white people are racists. Yeah. And for me, I think that should be the question number one. If they do not believe in reparations, best not even get far with that. Yeah. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section, guys. If you have not subscribed to my channel, kindly consider doing that right now. And those that have actually subscribed to my channel, thank you so much, guys. I don't take that for granted. It's been a slow but steady move, and we have grown. Yeah, I was here with a few people, but now we have 10,000, over 10,000 followers, which is pretty much a good start. So kindly consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, and I hope that you're also keeping safe from wherever you're watching me from. Despite all these things, we talk about sad things every other time and we forget to check on one another. I hope that you people are safe wherever you are. I hope that you are treating this life well, or it's treating you well. I will see you on my next video, guys. Bye for now.